Dr. Corey Allen alongside my wife, Pam.
Always good to be
There
here.
she is right there. I see you in the chair right across from me.
That's good radio right there.
This is also, we're beginning the process of being much more video focused.
Yeah.
And building out a studio and trying to actually start producing more content on the video platform as well of Instagram with the reels, YouTube with the full shows. And so this is the first one in the quote unquote studio that is to become and is becoming.
Yeah, it's still work in progress, but you've made quite a nice space.
We're getting there.
I'm impressed.
We're getting there. You think 13 years in, finally, with a podcast, we finally start figuring out how to do some video stuff. Well, this is Sexy Marriage Radio. Having honest, straightforward conversations, trying to help heat up the connection that you have in your married life, particularly as it pertains to sex. Because as we're going to be talking about today, there's a lot of different things that come up in our sex lives and our desires and our sexualities that are like, wow, what do I do with that? How do I, because if you think about how our entry into this avenue of our life in this area, sometimes it doesn't start on the best of terms, right? Just depending on what's your history is, what your exposure is, what you've taught, what you've been taught or not taught. And so we want to talk about it all. And the way we do this is through conversations with the nation. And we love it when they call in to or you can send an email, and that's feedback@sexymarriageradio.com. And you can also find all kinds of great dialogues going on at my.smr.fm, where we have a team of people and a lot of listeners that are there just helping support other people, as well as wander through all that is marriage and our sex lives, because where else do you have really good places to have these conversations? And
a safe place. Yeah, you're not going to get a bunch of junk hurled at you.
Absolutely. And we love the fact that it can be conversations about all kinds of things, and there doesn't have to be a echo chamber in it, that we can have a variety of perspectives and views. And through the history of this, it's been great dialogues that take place. So shout out to Jessica for helping moderate and navigate that whole process on the platform for us. She's a great member of the team that we have going here. And then the other thing we want to encourage people to do, there's two things just by way of heads up. Okay. One is we are here in Christmas season. And so you might be sitting back, Pam, and wondering, what should I get Corey for Christmas this year?
Yeah, I actually am.
Okay, well, there's a partnership we have with Every Love Intimates, which is a date night box. Yes. And in that box, we've had the experience of walking through all that you get in this box is a piece of lingerie, as well as connection prompts, as well as some other, just a variety of different things that help spice up the connection, the date, the sex, the wherever it may go. And they do a fabulous job of giving you kind of some of the frameworks that you then fill out the rest. It's not a clear paint by numbers kind of a thing where, here, do this, do this, do this. It's like, here's some prompts, here's some ideas.
It's very well done. Ours actually had a little necklace in there and some chocolate and a variety of things that I would not have suspected would be in there. But yeah, you're right. The prompts are fabulous and just get you going on the right track.
At the risk of TMI, they've all been put to really good use, by the way. But if you want to take advantage of something that you could get for this holiday season for your marriage, smr.fm/everylove will get you a discount on the very first, on all the boxes. It's a subscription service. And so if you use that link, smr.fm/everylove, you get a discount on every box. They come every other month, so you don't get overwhelmed. But it's a fabulous way to connect in the holidays, because holiday seasons are busy. And it's sometimes you lose the connection that we can have in our marriage.
Yeah, it's
because we're busy doing everything else that's out there.
I think it's the most stressful time of the year.
I think there would be a lot of people that would agree with you.
That's a new song. It's a new song. It's the most stressful time of the year.
Well, I think they would agree. And then the other thing, just a quick note, is the Getaway is coming up this June in 2025, and the early bird rate is going on right now. It ends at the end of 24. So December 31st, the end of that day, when we welcome in a new year, is when the early bird rate goes away. So if you want to take advantage of that, smr.fm/getaway, you're going to want to come join us, because it's going to be a fabulous 3.5 days in the downtown Fort Worth area. Coming up today on the regular free version is an email that came in from a husband who has had a long-standing history with pornography usage off and on, which we've talked about this subject quite a bit throughout the years of Sexy Marriage Radio.
Yeah.
But we're going to take it from a slightly different. He asks a question at the end that's a little different than we've covered on what's some of the motivations or the things underneath this, and what do we do with that? And then on the extended content today, which is deeper, longer, and there are no ads, you can subscribe at smr.fm/academy. Since it's the holiday season, and this oftentimes can mean extended family, immediate family, relationships that are a part of the equation that sometimes really enhance the holidays, and sometimes they really complicate things because we all have a variety of relationship histories as it pertains to family. We're going to geek out in the psychological theory a little bit from Murray Bowen on emotional cutoff versus walking away, and how we can oftentimes create buffer zones and distances with relationships that are important. And is that the best way to go about it? Or what do we need to do when it comes to relating to people that are family, if you will, but aren't necessarily supportive, maybe, or not necessarily in our corner, or, so there's a lot of histories we have. And so we're going to give a little bit of an idea of what's the difference between the two different ways we often can choose. So all that's coming up right after this. So here's the email that came in that from a husband, and he talks about, I've used porn off and on, mostly in the aspect of pictures, but sometimes videos since adolescence. I'm 40 years old. I've not viewed intentionally anything for the last little bit, and I'm working every day to get better at avoiding it. So here's where I'm having a question. I'm honestly avoiding it because the disrespect to my wife and the dishonoring of God, which are fabulous motivators, because we all get these aspects of life where it gets much more nuanced in the sense that what I'm choosing to do, I like to do, but the impact of it hurts other people. And so therefore I will re-examine my choices, which kudos to you on that. Personally, I like naked women, not to be blunt about it, not to be too blunt about it. So what is different or interesting to me is that I don't actually want the over sanitized women that are in professional porn or the overdone Instagram models. My preference is normal women. So if I look up videos, I'd want to see like normal people that are demonstrating things that I would like my wife and I to do together, or couldn't because of some different issues. So to me, these women have made themselves just pretty things to look at. They are or were the equivalent of a nice car for me that just hit the pleasure receptors in a sexual way. Most of the time, I would use pornography as either educational, in a sense of actually looking up how to do certain things, or just a quick way to an erection. However, I usually try to be careful to put my mind on my wife and I together during any masturbation that I might participate in. I don't view all women this way, but I don't view all women this way who have just put themselves out there to be naked, to just be something to be looked at. In no way were they someone I have interest in knowing or even caring about. I was interested in women and their bodies even prior to puberty. If there was any shame attached to looking at sexual images, it was centered around that my wife would be hurt if she found out, which again, here's the thread of how we can get conflicted in the sense that I have these desires, but then I also have the impact of these desires on the people I care about. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the nuanced area I really want to land as we keep going. So she, as expected, at first thought I was just dissatisfied with her. I told her it had really nothing to do with her. Our marriage has been great. Our sex is the best it's ever been. The frequency and the freedom is better than it's ever been. We talk about anything and everything. And my wife has even recently shared some of the things she wants to try as we continue to evolve and explore more of this. I love my wife and I love having sex with her. And she's actually has an orgasm 95% of the time that we have sex. So my question is, what do I do with the feelings of just liking what naked women look like? Is it as simple as recognizing that it's natural as a man, but as a man and a Christian and a leader of the household, I have to have some self-control and just say no? I still have the desire to see women naked, even though I know I shouldn't, and I'm actively not looking for pictures of naked women. So what do I do? Because this is one that the way to frame this is something I don't know how many people actually go through the thought exercise associated with this.
Okay.
Because this gets into like the conversations I had with Sam Jolman last week and then a couple weeks prior when he was first on the show. And he made the comment about how far too often us men get focused on behaviors. Am I behaving when it comes to my sexuality? That's all I focus on,
Okay.
rather than what's underneath it all. What makes me tick? What makes me me?
Sure. And this guy's trying to understand, why is it that I like naked women so much? Is that kind of what you're getting after? He's trying to figure it out.
That, and is that desire or interest mean there's something wrong?
I mean, we were created in a way to be attracted to one another. Yeah.
We all have eyes. We all have preferences. We all have memories. We all, we have these
Yeah.
things that draw us towards things, that intrigue us, that arouse us. And this is one of the things that I've come across when it comes to the chance I get to do the table talks on the Salt app, which is the dating app for Christians.
Mm-hmm.
That whenever the conversation steers this way and we start to try to explore some of the nuance, it's real black and white for some people, in the sense that if I see something and it arouses me, I am therefore in sin.
That's what some of them say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which we need to get deeper
platform.
into this, in the sense that, is that what is really going on? In the sense that I like naked women. Is there something wrong with that? The fact that in and of itself, or you like whatever intrigues you, is there anything wrong with that? That's where I want to kind of land for a quick moment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then land it. I mean, what's the answer?
Well, I'm curious, what are you hearing in this as you think through this?
I think that a ripped, cut, nice looking male body is very attractive. Does that make me in sin because I think that looks attractive? I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think so. But what do I do? Do I go seeking that out? Like this guy has, I'm not going to go actively look at porn anymore because it disrespects my wife and it doesn't honor God.
Mm-hmm. Which is a great character foundation.
So I've got to really look at, do I go searching for those things just because I like it and it makes me feel good? Or am I first and foremost trying to honor God? For me, that's the first thing I want to do, is whatever it is I'm doing in my life, I want to make sure I'm honoring God.
I agree. I completely agree with this. And I think that where I want to have the conversation, to at least make the point for the nation, is when you juxtapose the two different dynamics of, this is referred to in the scriptures as the flesh, the war of the flesh.
Yeah.
Right. That there are wirings, biology, different aspects of us that are who we are, it's the way we were made, that then man has skewed. Right. Because everything God made for good can also be destroyed by man and become something that's not life-giving and edifying to those around us or ourselves. And so there's this element, because what comes to my mind, I was thinking through the history of my journey in this, because he strikes a lot of the similarities of my path when it comes to pornography. I was exposed to it early, and I remember the very first time I saw pictures of naked women in a Playboy, it triggered some things in me that were like filled with all kinds of anxiety, but not scared anxiety. It was kind of this, whoa, what is, okay, hold on. It kind of, I can't even think of the right word, but it was something to where it was ambiguous enough that was like, I like this. Like, there was something about it.
I like what I'm seeing.
Right. And so,
or how it makes me feel inside.
That it's both of them.
Yeah.
And so there's this element of, as this went on all throughout adolescence, and then meeting and marrying you in the first parts of our marriage together, for sure, too, kept wrestling with this. There's something wrong with me because I like this. And it wasn't until probably about 15 years ago, give or take, I don't know an exact date, that I really started to come to this understanding, just like he's saying, of kind of coming to grips with, I like naked women. I like the way they look. I like women. I like the way, and I'm not trying to objectify at all, but just the physical manifestation of a woman is a beautiful thing. The fact that it creates things in me, okay. What I do with it, just like what he's describing, is what matters. Where I steer it. And that disarmed some of my battle in a much healthier way, to where then it became this thing that then I share with you. I steer everything to you. That's what we've talked about in the past, is 100% of our sexual energy, we believe, should be steered towards your spouse. They most likely won't be the source of 100% of your sexual energy, though, because other things will trigger arousal.
And so then that goes to, how do you continue to live from integrity, respect the person that you're in a marriage with while that's going on, right? Not seeking it out.
That's one. That's the character development then, because this is the thing of, if we talk about trying to live a deeper life, particularly those of us that are Christians and trying to be in the spiritual life that Christ modeled, then we are caught up in the easiest way to do it is just to give into all of my desires because they're just good. They're fine, whatever. Versus, wait, Christianity calls us to something more, bigger than ourselves, which is a different kind of discipline, a different kind of choice, a different kind of character development, wisdom, growth, and maturing, which means I don't just act like a child when something arouses me.
Right.
And I don't seek it out either. Because he just made the comment too of, he would look at it because it was an easy way to an erection, which some of that is like, okay, some of that is just, what's that about? Right? There's a dig deeper into that of what's the meaning of an erection for you here, and why are you seeking it, versus how do I share this with my spouse? How do I make them the source? You were getting ready to say something that.
Well, just because something makes me feel good doesn't mean it's good for me.
Exactly.
Right? We have desires, but there's any number of things, vices that people use because it makes them feel good, but it's not necessarily good for you.
Right.
It hurts your own integrity, destroys a relationship that's important to you. So asking yourself these questions of, what is it that, am I better for this? Is my relationship, are these relationships that are important to me better for this, or are they hurt by it? There's so many deep things to ask.
Absolutely. And that's where I wanted to at least kind of spend the time today, because I think the nuance of this is important. This is more than just a black and white issue, right? Because our sexuality is so incredibly refined and nuanced and different than the animal kingdom that's out there, because we make meaning out of things. And there's also impact of our choices and our desires on ourselves and others. And so, but to me, the goal becomes, how do you wrestle? Just like he said at the end of his email, I have these desires. So does it really just come down to, I need to be more mature in how I handle these desires? Yes. That's what it means. And it means I steer them towards my spouse. I do things that are God honoring, and how I monitor where I spend my time, what I seek out, because this is also that nuanced, weird thing that we can do where we rationalize stuff, where it's like, I'm looking at things. It's not porn, but man, it's right there.
Well, that's where I think when I say, oh, I steer it towards my spouse, didn't he say in there, well, I would look at things that would get me aroused, and then I would think of my spouse and I.
If you ever chose to masturbate, yes. That would be the start, would be from something that's not about her.
Yeah, but
he would try to steer it towards
starting
her.
with someone else.
And there's a huge difference between I'm seeking something out versus I just stumble across something and I'm not seeking it out, because that happens not just in the internet world, that happens in the world where you're just, wow, okay. I mean, there's people everywhere. So
understood. And I agree with that.
And that's where I want to try to, there's a difference in, ultimately what I choose to do with it is what matters the most. And then there's also the safeguards I put in place to maintain the character and the discipline I want to live as it pertains to the relationships that matter to me.
Yeah.
So I don't put myself in situations.
And I think that's important to point out, that having safeguards in place, and this isn't me living in a bubble and I'm going to always rely on self-control.
Right. Because willpower is a muscle and it gets tired.
It does get tired. And that's, living in community, other people that maybe you're talking with. Well, that's where some of the academy comes into play, right? Where people that I can talk with about this, not judging and getting other ideas. How does someone else handle this situation that's kind of walking down the same road?
Yeah. Because I think about it then when you look at it from what he's describing, there's this element of there's maturing that can take place on both sides in a marriage. Because a lot of times when pornography has a history of presence in the marriage, both of us can be immature in how we approach it versus the more nuanced is, okay, wait, what is this really about with me? What's this really about with them? What do I need? Because there's also this element of it's not just a male only thing. Your wiring is a little different than mine as far as male female differences, but there's different aspects that are like, wait, I can see that as threatening. Hold on, what are you doing with that? How are you steering that? So I think the path is similar. And what matters then is they're maturing enough for both and the relationship to have conversations like it sounds like they're having, which is a fabulous taking the marriage to deeper levels. And that's where we start to realize, wait, I got everything I could possibly handle in my own relationship. Why would I add more to complicate it?
Fair.
Right?
Fair.
Because enough is enough. One woman is enough. One man is enough in the sense of I don't need to bombard myself with more. And when you can start to look at it that way, the goal then becomes, how am I coming to grips with me? And then also how my choices impact others. Because that's the whole growth crucible, if you talk about Schnarch's work, in a nutshell, is everything I am doing because of choice of life with you is impacted by me and then also by my choice with you. That's the container of how is my character development influenced by you and my choice. That's the goal. And when you can start to see that, then it starts to become hopefully a much more mature way to look at, wait, underneath all of this, is there something going wrong? Because maybe there is, but maybe there's not. And then I can start looking at it on the continuum in that process of, as I get further down, that's where, okay, I need to rein this back in more. I need to get, so you start just learning, I don't want to go to that area. I don't want to go out to that bar, or I don't want to head to that part of the Caribbean or whatever it might be, because I don't want to be exposed to all that would be there.
Those are very real examples because we talk about porn and people think of it just being on internet and magazines or whatever, but it's making those decisions. It's making the decisions of where do we go for a date or a vacation or things like that to try and guide us down whatever path we want to be on, not to give us more challenges,
right?
Not to say, well, yeah, we're going to go to this area that always has naked beaches. And I know that that's a struggle for my spouse, but it'll be okay.
Because I'll be with them the whole time.
Right. Well, let's think about those things. Maybe we can go somewhere else that's better, that doesn't create this.
Like the Swiss Alps where it's cold and you got to wear all kinds of layers. And
that's an option. That's a totally different trip, mountains or beach. But you bring up a good point. We don't want to just ignore the fact that the world is there and things are going to come up. But let's be aware. Let's have, as spouses, have an open dialogue. Where are you on this journey?
Right, because it's each individual person's journey, but our journeys impact the others.
Yeah, and I want to be a good partner with you to how can I walk alongside you for areas that impact you, and I'd hope that you're doing the same with me on maybe areas that are a struggle in for me.
Right. And that's because to me, the ability to even start having the mental thought exercise is important. And then have the dialogue is equally important, because that helps broaden what we're capable of experiencing with each other and alongside each other. Because too often we get caught up in these third rail of, oh no, we can't even talk about that. And then hold on, we grow so much in our willingness to question and dig deeper about some things. And at the same time, recognizing this is about an understanding of who I am, not a rationalization of what I want to do. Because there's a huge difference in there to end it in this conversation with, because we can easily talk ourselves into things, right?
Yes.
So it's getting into this element of, okay, having the curiosity and then letting yourself sit with it, having a good group of people to wrestle with this. This is where masterminds come into play. This is a great forum to bring up some things that are like, what do you guys think about this? 'Cause I don't have a place I can ask this question without getting blasted.
Yeah.
By guys or dismissed
or
judged by it. So it's just this element of having that ability to wrestle with this helps make a more refined, mature self, which then just benefits both people in a marriage. Because kudos to this guy. I mean, he's asking the right question, and he's got the answer too. Of, does it really just boil down to, I need to honor what my character is when it comes not in line with some of my desires? Yes, there's the answer.